Stand in a shoulder width posture. Knees gently bent, back nice and straight. Arms hanging down by the sides. Turning from the very core of the body. Gently turn and look back over the shoulder. Come to the front, same on the other side. Gently release the back with a few simple turns, just to see how your back feels. And then allow the body to move. Turning the waist from side to side. Turn the waist, turns the shoulders, turns the arms, but it all comes from deep inside the belly. Allow the palms to be open. They gently tap on the side of the body. Allow the back of the wrist to strike the small of the back. And feel the forearms gently tapping onto the belly button. Okay, so let this exercise evolve a little bit. Go slightly slower, but open up a bit further. Look back over the shoulder, stretching out, staring back. Using now all the way from the tailbone up to the neck. Sometimes this exercise can make you feel a little bit dizzy. So concentrate on your toes if you feel dizzy. Put your mind in your toes. Feel your toes pressing against the ground. Feel the ball of your foot pressing against the ground. Morning. So gently open up, stretch out the back, bit by bit. Gently looking back over the shoulders just works the neck as well as the spine, allowing the whole thing to softly open, stretch. Okay, so just a few more long opening turns, gently stretching, gently opening. Allow the whole thing to slow down, slow down. Slow down. And gently come to a stop. Put the hands deep in the earth. Let's gather some chi. Lift chi up. Gently pour the chi down through the body. Allow the chi to flow from the head deep into the belly. Collecting the chi deep in the belly, and then just releasing the hands and allowing the chi to flow on down. Gather. And pour from the head deep into the chest. Chest deep into the belly. And then releasing the hands deep into the earth. Okay, so we can do some simple forward and back bends. Just lifting the hands up into the blue sky. Stretching up, stretching up, stretching long. And then we just join we just coordinate our arms and our ears to tip over at the same speed. So we bend the upper neck. And then we allow the back to bend from the upper back, middle back, down to the lower back. Let the body hang and relax. Knees stay nice and soft. Body hangs and relaxes. Extend gently down towards the toes. Release that bend. Now imagine a line between the roots of your toes. Gently stretch towards that. And release. Imagine a line between your insteps. Gently stretch towards that. And release. Back towards the heels. Nice deep bend. Relax and release. Lift the tailbone up behind. Push the tailbone to the front. Roll the spine up. Head, arms, and ears gently roll up. Stretch up into the blue sky. Knees and hips drift forward as you lean back. Stretch up and gently back. Up and gently back. Up and gently back. Let the left arm, curl down to the left side, right side of the body open. Right arm down, open on the left, down on the left, and down on the right. Good. Stretch hands up into the blue sky. Let's begin again with the forward bend. So it's just the nape of the neck first, just the arms bending over the top of the neck. And then the upper back can bend. Then the middle back can bend. Then the lower back can join in. And we allow ourselves to relax down with soft knees and the back of the neck totally relaxed. Body hangs and relaxes. Extend softly down towards the toes. And release. In line with the roots of the toes. Release. Toward the insteps. And release. Toward the heels. Body relaxes and hangs. Lift the tailbone up behind. Push the tailbone toward the front of the body and start the spine stacking up. Arms and ears gently come up together. Drawing up to full height, let's stretch up into the blue sky. Let the knees and the hips drift forward as you lean back. Up and gently back. Up and back. Up and gently back. Hands into the blue sky. Let's use the left hand just to drift down. Allow the right side of the body to arc open. Down on the right hand side. Down on the left. And down on the right. Great. Stretch the hands up into the blue sky. Okay, so let's try and keep the legs straight this time when we go and do these bends. So lock the legs straight, tip over head, arms and ears only. And then upper back, middle back, lower back. You may not get down as low as you did before with the straight legs, but that's not a problem. Just keep the legs as straight as we can and hang wherever we can. Release the back of the neck as much as possible. And again, we make our little dip down towards the toes. And release. In line with the roots of our toes. And release. Toward our insteps. Getting gradually deeper with each little bend. And release. Back toward the heels. Great. Body relaxes and hangs. Tailbone gently lifts up behind. Tailbone pushes to the front. Spine rolls up. Head, arms, and ears roll up. Stretch up into the blue sky. Knees and hips drift forward. You lean back. Stretching up and gently back. Up and back. Up and back. Stretch up into the blue sky. Left hand side goes down. Down on the right. On the left. And on the right. Stretch up into the blue sky. Okay, last time through the process, try and go with straight legs again if you can. Tip over the head, the arms, the ears. Upper back, middle back, lower back. The body hang and relax. Body hangs, body relaxes. Neck is relaxed. Straight legs extend softly down towards the toes. And release. In line with the roots of our toes. Release. Working toward the insteps. And release. Working toward the heels. Body relaxes and hangs. Gently lift the tailbone up behind. Push the tailbone toward the front of the body. Start to roll the spine up. Bring up head, arms, and ears. Stretching up into the blue sky. Knees and hips can drift forward as you lean back. Gently up and back. Up and back. Up and back. Hands in the blue sky. Last time we gently do our side bend. Left hand side goes down. Right side of the body opens up. Down on the right hand side. Line the left side of the body to down the left. And down on the right. Stretch both hands up into the blue sky. And then just allow the hands to gently drift down. As the hands move down, the level of the chi moves down inside your body. So we can do the same again, gathering, lifting chi up. Pouring the chi back down through the body. So often when you're inverted in these forward bends, the chi moves into your head. You feel a bit dizzy. So now we draw it all back to the belly to make ourselves centered. Relax the hands, chi flows. Gather again. And pull. Imagine the chi flowing from the head down to the chest, moving from the chest down into the belly. All the chi gathers deep in the core of you. And then you relax the hands and the chi pours down the legs into the ground to finish the circuit. One more time. Very good. We gather, we pull, we draw the chi, we move any imbalance out of the head, any imbalance out of the chest. Park all the chi deep inside the belly, and then feel our connection all the way through to the ground. Let's just bring our hands onto the belly so we can just lift up one more time. And then gently move the chi downwards to the belly. And let the hands gently settle onto the belly. Just gathering chi inside. So the hands settle onto the belly. That brings the mind down to the belly too. We just concentrate on the sensation of the hands on Du Chi. Behind Du Chi, the sensation of lower Dantian. Mind resting in lower Dantian. How does lower Dantian look to you? How do you imagine lower Dantian? Perhaps it's like one of those marbles with the sort of wonderful shapes in the middle. Perhaps it's like a pilot light on a gas boiler. Perhaps it's like a glowing ember in a fire. However you wish to visualize your lower Dantian, just put your mind into this little space there. Perhaps it's just like a balloon of energy. Lower Dantian sometimes sort of exhibits itself as being a small space, but sometimes lower Dantian can fill the entire belly as well. Just depends how your chi is and how you're feeling about your chi and how in contact you are with your chi, as it were. So just feel into this space. Sometimes it's just a sense of fullness, like you've had a big meal. And we just locate our mind in lower Dantian. Okay, so stand, sit, lie down, whatever suits you for this part. Today we're going to work through Dr. Pang's 5 organ healing sounds. So Dr. Pang created these sounds at the Mediciner's Hospital. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to change the sound profile on here. So he created these sounds at the Mediciner's Hospital to go with the 5 organ method, I think. And the idea about it is that, well, I think, you know, we can look back to, I'm sure it was Nikola Tesla who said, if you wish to understand the functioning of the universe, look no further than vibration. And I think that's it. I think at the deepest fundamental level, everything in our universe vibrates. And so we discovered that atoms and molecules are constantly kind of moving and vibrating and flowing and circling. And things that appear to be incredibly solid, like a table or the floor, are actually these kind of active moving objects inside, deep inside the molecules, the atoms, the nucleus, the et cetera, electrons are constantly moving inside. And so vibration can create what's called a standing wave, where something seems to be very solid, but in fact is just a consistent wave that's giving it that solidness and that a vibration. I've always been fascinated by the story in the Bible where they go and blow the trumpets and the walls of Jericho come falling down. And I sort of think, well, that's interesting. We've sort of lost a technology there about sound that clearly someone knew some time ago. There's, you know, some hidden truth in that story about the walls of Jericho. We feel that it's just some sort of story from the Bible, but I think there's probably something very technological behind it, vibration being such a powerful thing. And they say that they raised the stones of the pyramid using vibration, and that they raised the Stonehenge with vibration. All these sort of ideas that people have, but nobody can prove it. However, sound vibration, we're given a beautiful voice box in our body, which can allow us to create vibrations inside our bodies. That's one of the key aspects to this amazing body of ours, is that we can make our body vibrate. We can make different parts of our body vibrate. So Dr. Pang, who's worked with Buddhism and Taoism, chanting, no doubt, all of his life, looked at the sort of the core to standard healing sounds. And so I often do the 6 sacred sounds in this morning class. And if you go onto YouTube, you'll find there's various different 6 sacred sound classes dotted amongst the other healing videos. And those 6 sacred sounds come from standard Qigong, medical Qigong, things like that. And they're a sort of a homogenized set of sounds. Well, Dr. Pang has been very specific. He's taken them to another level. And he thinks that we can work through 3 different vibrational aspects of each sound. And so while his sounds don't differ hugely, and some of them are exactly the same as the sort of medical Qigong ones, what he's done is he's broken the sounds into 3 sections, which relate to Jing, Qi, and Shen. So Jing is often seen, the sort of direct translation of Jing is something like sperm, but Jing is also governs the blood, it governs the muscles, it's the kind of the solidity of your body. Qi, as we know, is energy, but in this case, Qi is more a sort of a vapor, if you like. So we have the sort of solid body, and then we have the sort of the lighter functioning of the body. So Jing, Qi, and Shen being your spiritual self. So when we look at the body in terms of solid, solid matter, perhaps flowing matter, if you like, and then spiritual self, we have these 3 different sounds from Dr. Pang for each of the organs. And so it would make sense for us to start with the liver today, because the liver is a springtime element. And so some of the organs have very extraordinary plosive sounds, and the liver is one of those. It starts off with a kind of a tone that sounds like you're spitting. You say tu, T-U, tu, tu, tu. And you say it quite violently, tu, 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 until your breath runs out. And so that's the first part of it. And that tu, you can feel with your hands on your tummy that tu is making this whole area where the liver sits jump. And that's a function of the diaphragm. So when we say tu, it moves the diaphragm and it actually jumps the liver. So we're actually vibrating our liver by moving our liver. So when we say tu, 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 we do that in a 1 long breath. And I was going to say, some of them split at different places, 3 tones. So for the liver tone, you say tu, 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 tu for a breath, and then you break for a moment. You take another breath in, and then you combine 2 tones together. So it moves in 1 breath, sorry. So it moves from Ju, J-U, to ling, L-I-N-G. So you have this first plosive tone, tu, 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 and then we say, Juling. So you have to try and split your breath, your second breath in half, more or less in the middle, so you get half of it as Ju and half of it as Ling. But you'll find that many of these tones finish in ANG or ENG, particularly with a G sound. And it's almost like the way you write a letter G, with the circle and then the tail coming down and turning back up. It's kind of almost describes how the sound is. When you say these tones very often, so in this case it's ing, so it starts open and kind of circular, and then it goes down the tail, and it ends inside in a kind of hum inside your body. So we can just say Juling again in 1 breath. So take a gentle breath in. Juling. Let it vibrate inside. Okay, great. So what we're going to do is we're going to do half a dozen of these breaths. 222, take a breath in, Ju Ling. We'll do that 6 times through. Okay, so we're working on our liver. Liver is springtime. The color of the liver is green, so you can imagine sort of green energy around your liver, beautiful sort of grass green perhaps. And the point about liver is that it's all about your anger. So as we say Ju Ling, you can just, oh sorry, Ju Ling, you can just imagine your anger gently fading away. And when your anger fades away, it leaves space for kindness, compassion. And so we find our kindness and our compassion arising in our body as our anger gently fades away with these tones. So I had my hand on my belly, but actually I'm inclined to put my hands on my liver directly. So you can actually apply your hands to the right hand side, just underneath your ribs, and actually hold your liver. So why not actually use the liver directly in this case? So we start with our first breath, 222, then we do Ju Ling. So take a nice gentle breath in, and spit out, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, till you run out of breath. Take a big breath in. Back to the beginning again. Breathe in. Breath in. Breathing in. Breath in. Two more cycles to do. Breathe in. In breath. Imagining all your anger fade away. You could gently rub your liver if you wish. All of the anger from your life, from your body, gently dissipates. Bring in your kindness and your compassion. Great. Okay, so we move from the liver to the summer element. So we've got spring element is liver, summer element is heart. The heart's physical tone, if you like, is shin. Shin. Unlike the other organs, the heart tone, the heart's 3 tones are separate tones because the heart is seen as being a delicate object and we can be very gentle with it. So when we do our heart tones, our physical tone shin can be reasonably strong, which is going to gently vibrate the pericardium muscle in your heart. You can put your hands onto your breastbone if you wish here. The second tone is Shi-ang. Shi-ang. Pause. And the third tone is Shing. Shing. Very quiet, very gentle. So as we move from our physical toward the more delicate, spiritual, the tone can go from strong to medium to very light and gentle. So it goes from Shin, Xiang, Xing. So take a breath in and say Shin. A little bit lighter for Xiang. And even more delicate for Xing, Xing. Shin, quite strong. Xiang is medium. Xing is light. So when we talk about the heart being out of balance, we think of a person as being a bit giddy, a bit unstable, a bit wobbly. And so all of those kind of aspects of instability and wobbliness in a person can just go, and unconditional love and happiness can arrive. So let's work through again from the bass tone, Shin, medium tone, Xiang, and Xing. Unconditional love floods your body. We'll go twice through these tones again. Shin first. Breathe in. Xiang next. Xing last, nice and gentle. Last time through. Shin. Xiang. And a gentle Xing. You might wish to gently rub your heart. Any giddiness and instability in your life just gently goes, replaced with unconditional love, openness of the heart, total happiness. Okay, let the hands relax down. So when we move from summer, we move into late summer, and that is the time of the spleen. So the spleen sits under your left ribs. You could just hold gently on that. So the spleen has got a joined up tone, which is split into two parts. And the first part of it is gang, G-A-N-G, gang. And then we melt that tone into foo, F-U. So the first tone goes gang, foo, in one breath. And then we take a gentle breath in, and then we say John. So in Chinese, that's written Z-H-O-N-G, but it's kind of pronounced with a D-J-O-N-G, like Django, John. Okay, so we say gang fu, and then we take a breath, and we say John. So the first tone would sound like gang fu. We take a breath in. John. And John has got this ONG or this NG on the end, which is the same idea of the G is quite open until it goes closed and it comes deep inside into a vibration inside. So Gang Fu John. So your spleen is all about trust. It's all about building up the trust in your body. And what tends to break down our trust is our worries about things. And so when we think about spleen, we think about worry, we think about rumination, we think about overthinking. And so all of the worry and all of the ruminating and all the overthinking can just gently disappear as we go gang fu zhong. And in its place, we build up trust in ourselves, trust in other people. And so it's all about trust. Gang fu zhong. Okay, so take the first breath in to do the first two tones. Gang fu. Then zhong. Breathe in. Gang fu. Gang fu. Breath in. Gang fu. John. Last time. Gang fu. So just allow all of this worry, stress, ruminating, overthinking to gently dissolve. It leaves you trusting yourself, it leaves you trusting other people. Gently massage your spleen on the left-hand side. So that would take us to autumn, and that comes to the lungs. Now the lungs have got a very strange one. The first tone is sang, not difficult. Sang. But then the second tone, you have to hiss for a short moment, and then you have to suck that in, which is very weird. So just imagine you're drinking a milkshake and the big piece of ice cream gets stuck in the bottom of the straw and you go, and you can't breathe in anymore. So you have to go, and then you finish off with song. So the first tone, sang. So it's a bit difficult to keep your hands up on your lungs the whole time, but you can do if you wish. You can have your hands in front, just in front, sort of glowing chi back towards the lungs. You can have your hands on your belly and think of the lungs. Doesn't really matter, whatever way suits you. So we have this tone, sang, S-A-N-G, not difficult. Sang. And then we pause and we take the breath in. And then we have this little s out, so S-I-S. And then the suck in. Song, S-O-N-G, song. And again, that turns inside. So don't worry about feeling silly. Don't worry about sounding silly. It's just part of the whole vibration. As you can imagine, with your lungs, you're vibrating them with s, and then when you sip in, the lungs contract. So lungs open, s, contract, song, and they kind of like vibrate. So we're vibrating deep inside our lungs, and this little closes the airwaves. I think it closes the valves in our lungs for a moment, and that is a good exercise for the lungs. Sang, sip, song. Okay, so let's let's just talk gently about quickly about lungs. So the lungs are the home of your honesty and your integrity, and so essentially people who have lung emotions, let's say, find it very difficult to be straight with you and find it very difficult to get to the end of a project, to finish things off. Their integrity is a little bit shaky and wobbly. And so the emotions that we see in the lungs are sadness, shame, sorrow, guilt, and grief. And this kind of anxiety that we hold in our lungs, if you think about someone who's bereaved, who's just recently lost somebody, it's very difficult for them to kind of see their way through things. So their integrity is in tatters. They're unable to really sort of make plans, be able to finish things off. They can't quite get to it because of the sort of deep sadness and sorrow that's in their lungs. And also people who have held onto huge amounts of sadness and sorrow all the way through their lives find it very difficult to be a kind of straight player, to be honest about things. And so we work with releasing all these emotions, sadness, shame, sorrow, guilt, grief, from our lungs using these tones. And that helps us to build up our honesty and integrity, helps us to be finisher completers, I think is the phrase they use in sort of business. Okay, so sang, S-A-N-G, song. And the song is all one breath. So you have to kind of like use your breath wisely when you're doing your song. Okay, so let's take a gentle breath in for sang. Breathe in. So it's easy to remember. It starts with sang and finishes with song. Okay, so breathe in. First one, sang. ends in G, vibrates deep inside. Breathe in. S, ends in G, goes deep inside. Sang again. Breathing deep. Excuse me. Gets my lungs going very good. So breathing deep. Breathing in. Breathing in. Breathing in, second part. Let's go through just a couple times more. I think lungs is always a good place to work. Breathing in. Last time through, sang sip song. Gentle breath in. Gently rub your lungs, all of the heavy emotions, sadness, sorrow, shame, guilt, grief, breaking down. In their place, honesty and integrity arises. Great. So we have the kidneys to do. You can hold your kidneys just by gently putting the hands around the back and resting them just on the lower ribs there. You could also just put your hands on the ribs at the front and imagine the chi going back to your kidneys. So just a momentary break here while I just point something out to you. Perhaps you've seen my website. There's a thing that's called Test on my website, a page called Test. And if you click on Test, you can answer 120 very bizarre questions. And eventually what happens, it'll give you a readout of your wood, metal, fire, or, as we're doing here, heart, kidneys, spleen, liver, lungs, but each of those is an element as well. So we have fire, water, earth, metal, and what have I missed out? Fire, water, metal, and wood. And so we have the 5 elements. And as you do the chart, it says, do you prefer hot weather? Do you prefer cold weather? Do you prefer light colors, dark color? All sorts of things like that. And you answer all these questions. Don't think about them, just answer them. And what you get is a balance of your elements. And what we want to see is nothing is too high and nothing is too low. But you might find that your metal comes out as being 3 and your wood comes out as being 15, and everything else is 7, 8, and that sort of thing. And so it doesn't particularly matter whether they're all high, they're all low. If they're in balance, that's fine. If it looks like there's a point or two amongst each of them, there's no bother. But you might find one of them that's very low. Let's say our kidney is low. You score 3 on kidney and everything else is 7. So that would be a very obvious thing that the kidney is a good place for you to work. And so then you could take your kidney tone, and if you'd like, I'll email you around this list of organ sounds. You can do it on your own, but obviously you can practice with this video as well. And the idea would be that perhaps you might choose to do 5 repetitions of each tone, but when you got to kidney, you might think to yourself, right, I'm going to do 10 of the kidney because that's where my own personal weakness lies. It might also be true that you might look at your chart and you might find that you've got, 15 in the spleen and everything else is 7. So that would indicate that the spleen energy is too high. The tone works just as well for too much energy as for too little energy, because what these tones do is they bring that energy back into balance. And so you wouldn't try and work out which tone you'd need to use to counteract the, very high. You just go and use, high liver tone, high wood tone. You'd just go and use the liver tone, 10 times, and the other tones 5. So you can just pick the element you want and use the sound you want to help balance that out. And so you might think to yourself, you look at the 5 elements chart and you find that your heart element is very low. You think, okay, I need to do the fire, the heart sound, 15 times. And you might just choose to do that as a daily practice. You might do your Qigong and then just do the heart tone on its own. But the idea of the 5 elements is the 5 tones is that they balance each other out. So they become an entire practice set as we're doing here today. So it's never a bad idea to do all 5 tones round and perhaps just focus on one in particular. And the other thing I would say is that if everything looks reasonably balanced, then the advice there would be to do the season tone in a bit more depth. And so just to explain that now we're in springtime and you're called upon to use your wood energy, to use your springtime energy more at this time of year. And each season as we move through them, moving into the heart at summer, moving into the spleen late summer, moving into the lungs at autumn, moving to the kidneys at winter. At that time, that particular organ is called upon to do more work than the others. So therefore, you could give it more of a boost by doing more of its tone. So if there's nothing particularly obvious for you to work with, that would be a good indication that you could do all 5 tones regularly. And then depending on the time of year, you could also do the spring tone. As we're in spring at the moment, you can see I'm wearing my green trousers. We can do the spring tone more often, maybe double it to help the organ in that particular season. And then we move into summer, we'd shift from doing the liver tone to doing the heart tone. Hope that makes sense, and I can happily email this cheat sheet that I use for my organ sounds around to anybody who'd like that. Okay, so we're on to the kidneys for winter. So as we're in spring, we've just left the kidney season behind. So we don't really need to worry about the kidneys. In the overall scheme of things, you're doing springtime, 10 out of 10. You're doing heart, 8 out of 10. Spleen 6 out of 10, and by the time you get around to kidneys, it's 4 out of 10. It's least important in the whole over thing. So you could actually literally do that if you want. I'd never really thought about that before. You could do 10 tones for the liver, 8 tones for the heart, 6 tones for the spleen, 4 tones for the lungs, and then 2 tones for the kidneys. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, that probably would work. But I always think that kidneys are very important. They're called the building blocks of your life. So having explained all of that in great depth, the one thing I would always give attention to is the kidneys. So yeah, let's rethink that theory then. So perhaps we might do 10 for the spring, and 10 for the kidneys always, and then, work the other ones out. It's lesser. Anyway, as you like. There's no hard and fast rule here. As you can tell, I'm making it up as I go along. Okay, so hands on the ribs. So the kidneys have got a similar tone to the liver, and it's a very strange one. You say, EH, kind of like the sound that people make when they, when you say, what are you doing? And they go, huh? So you're sort of saying, EH, or EHU, I've put it in. So the kidney tone is almost like the tone of sort of waking up. So when you're in a sort of still, quiet place, and somebody calls your name, and you say, it's that kind of moment where you wake up. So what we're trying to do is say, it's almost like a cough. It's quite violent. And as you feel the diaphragm, it'll bounce. And as you say, till you're out of breath, what's happening is that your kidneys are bouncing up and down on the diaphragm at the back. And sometimes it does make you cough a bit. So we have to force out. And we run out of breath. Our next one we say is you, it's like Y-O-U, but in Chinese it's actually Y-U. You breaks into ying, Y-I-N-G. You ying. Okay. You ying and ying. Vibrate inside. So hold the kidneys, rest your hands on the kidneys at the back, whatever you wish. And we're going to start coughing out for one breath. So breathe in. Yu Ying. So breathe in. Back to breathe in. Yu Ying. Back to breathe in. Let's do 3 more times. Yu Ying. Back to one last time. Breathe in. gently massage the kidneys. Kidneys are all about fear. So as we get older, we get more and more fearful. So we just gently let all that fear wash away. And of course, when fear moves out of the way, the sort of mirage of fear, what's left behind it is wisdom. So you use your yu ying to break away all of this fear, and then your natural wisdom arrives. Also, you can just gently tap on the kidneys. They don't mind that too much. Rub gently, tap gently. Great. So we finished the whole thing off by saying ching, Q-I-N-G, ching. We're just going to say ching about 10 times. You can do it however you wish, but gently breathe in. Ching. Breathe in. Ching. Got my hands on my belly now. Ching. You can let ching hum and vibrate deep inside. Ching. Ching goes in, rather like the word in, actually. Gathers chi inside. Couple more, a little bit quieter. One more time, almost in silence. Hold hands on lower dantian. Qi gathering deep in lower dantian. These healing sounds vibrate through your body, healed your organs, healed your emotions. Whole body vibrated and open. Blood and chi flowing well. All functions of your body returning to perfect working order. Gently move the hands round lower dantian 3 times, gathering excess chi deep into lower dantian. And then return the hands 3 times, opposite direction, sealing off the body, sending a message to the body, finished practice, returning back to daily mode. And then just allow the hands to settle there. As you stand there, just imagine your Wei Qi glowing around your body. Protective shield of energy. And around that, your Qi body, a meter above, below, back, front, left, right. You standing in this wonderful field of Qi, protected, connected, safe, happy, big smile on your face. And then just let your hands gently drift down beside. Slowly open the eyes. Wiggle the fingers, move the toes a bit, stretch out your body in every way or any way you wish. And then we should say Haola together. Haola in Chinese means good already. Everything is already sorted. So if you'd like to unmute yourselves, we'll say Haola together. Okay, so we raise the hands up in the air. 1, 2. Ha. 1, 2. Ha. Last time. 1, 2. Ha. Lovely. So your right hand comes up, left hand sits on top, and then you pull the fingers together into the Zheneng Qigong. It's called entirety hands. Thank you very much for being here today. Really nice. Have a lovely sunny day, hopefully.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Bye, guys.
very nice.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.